An attorney with a large South Side property management company, Chuks Onyezia is hoping to unseat 18th Ward Alderman Lona Lane in the Southwest Side's Ashburn and Scottsdale's neighborhood. He also has an engineering degree and an MBA. I'm Mike Fouché, publisher of Aldertrack, and this is our Meet a Chicago Candidate series. So, why did you decide to run for alderman, Chuks?
Well, first off, thank you for having me here, Mike.
Sure.
Well, it's been a long journey. I actually ran back in 2011. And the reason why I ran back then was, as you mentioned, I'm an attorney. I have a property management company. And as I walked around my particular ward, I've helped out so many people. But then what good is that when you go home and you see so many people around you, your neighbors that need help? So as I got more involved and I volunteered more, once you open a door, you start to see what's really behind it. And, we need it. Our ward has suffered from a lot of losses. And, we need that type of leadership that's going to really show the potential our community has to offer.
So do you consider yourself a Fioretti or Emanuel or Willie Wilson or Garcia supporter?
You know what? I hate to give I'm looking for the best candidate answer. I'm down to two people. And, right now in Chicago, we need change. We need the kind of change that will move forward our communities. Specifically 18th Ward, we're stuck with a lot of city workers, fire, police, and they've gotten the raw deal in the past. So I think it's time for change. I'm still deciding between two candidates. I'm assuming you want me to name which one.
No, that's okay.
Between Chewy and Fioretti.
All right. So most sitting aldermen would say that ward maintenance issues would occupy most of their time. If you had one big citywide issue, what would it be?
You know what? And it's funny you asked that. I've often got involved in real estate law. I own a property management company, and one of the big problems that I've noticed throughout our community and throughout Chicago is you have quite a few of restrictive policies. Chicago Landlord Tenant Ordinance and lending. We have a plethora of foreclosures. One of the biggest areas in the Chicago that have suffered from foreclosures, and part of the reason that keeps a lot of these properties on the market is that the price is low enough where banks aren't lending, and but high enough where people can't just come out of their pocket and pay for it. So if there were some changes involved with freeing up lending for banks, smaller, more micro loans to buy property, I think that would take some of the inventory off the market. That would solve a lot of issues with low income housing also. So what I would do is try to see if I can influence banks to actually provide more lending so we can get some of this inventory, this growing inventory off the market, and start building communities the way they should. And it'll help out with tax revenue also.
So you told the Chicago Tribune that you believe we need to ensure the pension benefits stay intact, but
Correct.
We identify new sources of revenue to fill those gaps.
Correct.
The city's broke. Where's that money going to come from?
Well, let me say this, though. I'm a patent attorney myself. I work for the Department of Commerce, and attorneys have got us in this mess. I believe a deal is a deal, and I don't think it's fair to ask those hardworking pensioners to give up. That's part of the sacrifice that they made. Yes, we do have to look at some creative revenue sources. You have the basics with the casino. Eventually, we're gonna have to really deal with that. As an attorney, I can tell you this is one thing that doesn't get floated around too much. Service attacks on services, particularly below hours, is something that we should probably look into. It's one of those situations where the most vulnerable people are not affected by that. If you have an attorney that's charging you $100 or $200 a billable hour, will it really matter that much if it's $105, or $216? So that's a avenue that we can start looking into. Other services like that, I know 4 years ago there was a talk about the luxury tax, but as long as it's something that doesn't affect our most vulnerable citizens, I think that it's something that we can do. And along with the legal tax, it's one of those protected areas where our neighbors to the east or to the north can't compete with us to take our jobs because you have to be a licensed Illinois attorney. So something like that would be a revenue source that I think we can stomach. And, looking in that direction would be something useful for our city.
Okay. Well, thank you very much for joining us.
Oh, thank you for having me. Appreciate it.
You can learn more about the Chuks Onyezia campaign and almost 183 others by subscribing to our email newsletter at aldertrack.com, by listening to the series on Rivet Radio, or by subscribing to the series on YouTube. Thank you very much. More great stuff to come.